From the tea rooms of the early 1900s to modern-day cafes, tea has been a powerful connector for women to take time, come together, and exchange ideas. Some historians suggest what transpired in many of the tea rooms of yesteryear laid the groundwork for the suffragette movement, allowing women to gather, exchange ideas, start businesses, and change their place in the world. So what better way to empower women today than by gathering inspiring entrepreneurs and leaders to share their stories over a simple pot of tea? Each week, our amazing women will be on hand to guide you on your journey. So if you're ready to be inspired, come inside and grab a cup. It's time for tea. Crowdfunding platforms raised $16.2 billion in 2014. So what is crowdfunding and how can you use it to start or grow your business? Joining us today, three lovely ladies. Geri Stengel is first, a writer, crowdfunding expert, and president of Ventureneer, a digital media and market research company. Patty Lennon, a former VP at a global bank and now a certified business coach and crowdfunding coach. And Erin Bagwell, a documentary filmmaker who crowdfunded her film Dream Girl. Within 30 days, not only did she make her goal, she doubled it, raising $100,000 to produce the film. Thank you all for being here today. Patty, let's begin with you. What is crowdfunding?
At its simplest, crowdfunding is gathering small amounts of money from a large group of people to fund the start of a business, the growth of a business, a project, an invention. If you have a dream, you can create funding for it with crowdfunding.
And what is your personal background with crowdfunding?
So a few years ago, I was supporting my family. My husband was out of work, so like a lot of entrepreneurs, I was cash strapped. I had a big dream to start a conference, but I had no idea how I was going to do it. Then someone whispered the words crowdfunding to me. I did research, I dug in, I learned everything I could learn about it. I launched a campaign and that launched my conference.
One of the most fun experiences now is creating video, and honestly, I never would have said that in the past. We're shooting the crowdfunding video because I'm gonna crowdfund my book, obviously.
And did you do it on Kickstarter or?
At the time, we used Indiegogo.
Okay.
It was the right fit for our project, and there is a platform that's the right fit for every project. And because we funded so quickly, we met our goal within 2 weeks, and it was early in the world of crowdfunding, I started getting a lot of requests from people asking me how'd I do it and how could they do it.
And so essentially, you put up a campaign online and you're asking people to give money.
Exactly. And primarily you're asking your immediate social circle and your immediate business circle.
And what are they getting in return?
In the case of my campaign, they were getting a reward. For the most part, they were getting a ticket to the conference, an opportunity to scholarship another woman, or some other rewards that tied into the campaign. In the case of other campaigns, they could get the product that you're funding, access to your business, maybe promotions online or on your website. Rewards run the gamut.
And Geri, you know all about this because you wrote a report on crowdfunding and you crowdfunded the report.
I did.
How did that go?
So I too came close to doubling my goal. It was small, only $7,500, but I raised more than $12,000.
Amazing.
It was a lot of fun and a lot of hard work.
How would you define crowdfunding?
I would add to what Patty said, that you're using a lot of social media and traditional marketing, as well as getting on the phone and meeting people in person. So it's raising money mostly from your own crowd, from business and personal contacts that you already know.
And so you have Kickstarter, Indiegogo, GoFundMe, and these are essentially web platforms that you put up your story and then you ask for money?
Yep, so highly recommend doing a video that you tell your story. So my story really was about women entrepreneurs and that women are underfunding their businesses and that crowdfunding is a way to get funding.
And were you a little nervous about doing it?
Yes, so there is that risk that you're not going to succeed. Quite frankly, it's why I chose a smaller amount than going for, let's say, $10,000 or $15,000, because I was a little bit nervous, even with the number of people that I know, that I might not actually succeed.
And Erin, you used Kickstarter. Tell me a little bit about your project and your experience with crowdfunding.
Sure. So Dream Girl is a documentary that's focused on the inspiring stories of female entrepreneurs. And I wanted to do a crowdfunding campaign because I'm a creative, I'm an artist, and I knew I could put together a really awesome trailer to raise money, and I was nervous about talking to investors. So crowdfunding seemed like an awesome opportunity to get in front of my audience, get in front of my tribe, kind of start building the basic blocks for a business plan and get my name out there and see what happened.
And tell us a little bit about the film, because I think it's apropos for this program.
Absolutely. So, I have always wanted to run my own company and view myself as a CEO. And for a while, I never saw myself in that light, because when we think of CEOs or business people, we think of, the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Steve Jobs. And I really wanted to know who the women were. And I really wanted to hear their stories and know their names and see their families and see how they ran their lives.
There's a moment in your life when you know you're destined for something greater. There's a force pulling you to create, explore, build, and lead. There's no map to guide you, no blueprint to help you navigate, just a tiny voice inside of you, telling you to dream big.
I've never been the girl who let things go. When I want something, I'm going to get it.
What I learned about myself, no textbook or class or person could have shown me that. That came from here.
You have unique strengths that you're meant to give to this world. If you have it in your heart that you want to build your own company, don't let anyone or anything stop you.
It started kind of as a social experiment of me interviewing women for my feminist blog, Feminist Wednesday, and then snowballed when I realized how transformative it is when you surround yourself with ambitious women. I started viewing my blog more seriously, I started hiring people, I started thinking about monetizing, and I really upped my game. So I knew that if I was inspired and transformed by being around these women, that maybe we could pass that message on in a film.
And did you like using Kickstarter? How did you find out about Kickstarter?
Yeah, I feel like I've had friends who did campaigns and I was familiar with crowdfunding. I really wanted to put together a trailer first so that people could see the film. And I liked Kickstarter because I love that you can connect with your tribe. We have 2,000 backers who support the film, who I keep in contact with right now, and I send weekly newsletters and updates and things like that. So it was really important for us, not only to be able to fund the film, but also find people who are interested, find our audience.
And how many people are in the film?
We have over a dozen entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, and then we interviewed a couple of cultural experts and some male investors and female investors on why it's important to support the female economy.
Patty, what's your best advice on starting a crowdfunding campaign? What do you have to think about?
Well, the first thing you want to think about is who's your crowd. So not all of your contributions are going to come from your immediate circle, but between 40 and 50% absolutely will. So you want to think about who is it that you can reach out to, and if that's a fairly small list, you want to start doing some work to build it through social media, through email outreach, speaking engagements, really anything you can think of to put you in touch with a bigger crowd should be on your list.
So how much money should you be asking for? What's appropriate?
Okay, so what's appropriate is really anything you want. You can ask for anything you want. Will you get it? Maybe not. So there is a sort of calculation that you can use, and the calculation I teach is 40%. Think about your list. Who can you count on to give? What's the average donation they'll give you? For most people, it's 100 people and $35. So that's about $3,500. That represents about 40% of what you can realistically raise just using your group of people. So if you want to raise more, then you got to think about PR, reaching out to media outlets, building your social media following, and doing things that will really grow your list. And Erin's a perfect example of someone who did that.
Time now for a break, but coming up next, we'll take a look at why women need to specifically take a look at crowdfunding. Stay tuned. So Geri, why is it so important for women to pay attention to crowdfunding?
So women raise about 50% of money that men actually raise. And as a result, their companies are smaller, they hire fewer people, and they're even less profitable than male-owned companies. So looking at other ways of raising money is really important. And there's research out now done by Hebrew University, Berkeley, and Kaufman Foundation that actually finds that women succeed at reward-based crowdfunding more than men do. So they're having more success than their male counterparts. So it's a great way for women to raise money. And in equity crowdfunding, which is when you get a share in somebody's company instead of a reward, women are also showing signs of early success. So the skills of being a good communicator, being very well organized, knowing a lot of people and having good relationships with them really translates well for a campaign run by women entrepreneurs.
What did you find that was across the women that you interviewed in terms of their success in crowdfunding?
So they all tell a good story. So again, storytelling is absolutely critical. They're clear communicators. They speak in plain English without jargon. One thing with equity crowdfunding, which I find really fascinating, is that they're realistic in their projections. So we were talking before offline that men are filled with bravado, and that may work well with venture capitalists, but both male and female angels actually prefer the realistic numbers.
Why do you think women do well with crowdfunding?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. The biggest one is that women are socialized to give. We're nurturers. And so we have this huge capacity for what I call social equity. We have all these people we've given to that are ready to give back to us, but we're not always good at asking for that help. Suddenly when you do a crowdfunding campaign, it's like you open up the door for all of those people who have been waiting to give back to you. So you can essentially cash in on your social equity, where men have been socialized to sort of build those equity relationships. So when they start to reach out for funding, it's already built into their social circle.
When you invest in yourself, you bring into your life the support that you need.
You can look for information to prove that you're not ready, or you can look for information to prove how amazing you are and to feel excited to go out into the world and be that.
If you are putting your light out into the world, you deserve to get paid. Mama deserves to get paid.
And also, this is a situation where you can ask for small sums of money. It's not that you have to go to someone and say, can I please have $50,000 to start my project? You can ask for small amounts.
$1, right? And those amounts tend to be more comfortable for women who are new to the game of asking for funding.
Erin, what did you find the most difficult part of crowdfunding to be?
I think networking was something I didn't realize that I had to do so much of. I realized pretty quickly that my network was only going to take me so far. I needed to raise $57,000 to produce the film. And so my network probably got me to $20,000, $30,000, which was amazing, but then I needed to raise this whole other chunk of cash. So I got on every phone call, took every meeting, went to every event. I realized that, people, if you send them a gorgeous email, you can pull out some heartstrings, but if you're sitting in front of somebody, telling them your story, as we were talking about, Geri mentioned, you're getting a more of an emotional connection. People want to help you. And I found that if I showed up to events and actually told my story that, people, women especially, would be, they'd be super interested, but they'd also send me to other women. So my network grew because of the women who wanted to take care of me and wanted to make sure that this story got made. So it kind of developed in a really organic way, but I wasn't at all prepared to kind of be a saleswoman and to kind of do that, for 30 days.
And what type of rewards did you offer?
Yeah, I did. We did T-shirts, we did tote bags. You can get a credit in the film. We offered, for our big spenders an executive producer credit, which is great because that's on IMDb. So we had a really big range of things. So, from $1 to all the way up to $10,000.
And with Kickstarter, that's a very specific funding platform where you have to reach a certain number in order to get the money, right?
Absolutely, yeah. If you don't make your goal, you don't make any of the money. So at the time, we had raised maybe $32,000 and had 7 days to go to complete our campaign. So we had 7 days to raise $20,000, which was a lot of pressure and anxiety, a lot of tears and late nights trying to do PR and meet as many people as possible to make it happen.
And did you consider some of the other funding sites, or you just wanted to do Kickstarter?
I did, but I really wanted to go big or go home. I knew if I didn't make $57,000, I couldn't pay my salary and couldn't quit my job and dedicate myself to doing it full time. So I thought if it wasn't in the cards that it was going to happen, then it wasn't going to happen.
When I grow up, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a veterinarian. I want to be a scientist because I want to make things float. When I grow up, I want to be a softball player. When I grow up, I want to be the president.
Why specifically did you want to tell stories about female entrepreneurs?
Because I think women are the most underrepresented people in society. We need to hear more of those stories, and I get so electrified by hearing them. So it's something that serves me, and it's fun to share with other people as well.
And Geri, where do you think crowdfunding is going in the future?
So I think it is absolutely growing. I think rewards has proven rewards crowdfunding has already proven itself. I think equity crowdfunding has a ways to go. So I just analyzed some of the numbers that were just around small businesses. Only 100 companies, and actually it's even less than 100 companies over the last 6 months have raised equity crowdfunding. That's a drop in the bucket when you consider the 300,000 or nearly 400,000 companies that would have raised money last year.
So there's rewards, equity,
and debt-based crowdfunding.
Okay, could you give us a rundown on those three?
Sure. So equity-based crowdfunding works similar to the way the New York Stock Exchange works, for layman's terms. You're going to, if your funder's giving you money, they're getting a share in your company or shares in your company in exchange for that. And there's various SEC regulations surrounding that make it easier to get investors to invest in your company that way. Rewards-based crowdfunding works where you are going to give the funder a reward. So they're going to get some type of gift or some type of bonus that ranges anywhere from a thank you, a virtual thank you, to something really substantial like a production credit. Debt-based crowdfunding works the way a loan works. People are going to loan you money. The difference is that most people are loaning you $25 or $50 to accumulate a $5,000 or a $10,000 loan. People who wouldn't normally be able to qualify for rewards-based crowdfunding or equity-based crowdfunding because of the type of business or project they're working on, or perhaps they don't want to owe somebody something other than payment, would go towards debt-based crowdfunding, where they're taking a loan and then they're going to pay that money back.
Time now for a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the nuts and bolts of putting together a successful campaign. So, the big question is, how do you put a campaign together? There's Kickstarter, Indiegogo, GoFundMe. Where do you start, Patty?
Well, so there's over 1,000 platforms that you could use. And as I said, the most important thing is focus on your crowd and building your crowd. But when you're ready to dig in, you want to pick your platform. And the best way to do that is just spend some time on a couple of platforms. Contribute small amounts to a few campaigns that look or feel like yours, so you can get a sense of the ecosystem, because crowdfunding does have a very powerful ecosystem, and when you're inside it, it'll start to flow through you, and it'll make it seem a little more understandable what you need to do next.
It seems that a video is really important for this platform. And Erin, maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Campaigns definitely exist without a video, but there's something really special to kind of see the creator and to know where they're coming from and get that instant human connection and hear their stories about why they want to make their product come to life.
Hi, I'm Erin Bagwell, the founder of Feminist Wednesday, a feminist storytelling blog. While running the blog for the past year, I have been so inspired by the amazing women I've met along the way. Specifically, the stories about female bosses and CEOs. There's an amazing startup culture happening here in New York City, and it's being powered by women. Instead of telling little girls they can be anything they want to be, we need to show them what it means to be a leader. The truth is, there are driven and ambitious women out there who are up to the challenge of being the boss and crushing it. Women are starting 550 new businesses a day, and according to a recent study, women are the fastest growing sector of our new economy.
For us, it was really important because we're producing a film, right? So I wanted our trailer to look really good. I wanted it to look like a film you wanted to invest in. So I actually hired a video team and a director of photography, Mary Perino, to help me put together a really, really gorgeous trailer, essentially, for the film.
Geri, how long does a video have to be, and what do you need to put in it?
So a video shouldn't be any longer than about 3 minutes, and I'm going to say the shorter the better. 2 minutes is better, and I think mine was only about 1.5 minutes. For me, the hardest thing about doing the video was simplifying my message. I'm very detail-oriented. I love to throw in a lot of stats and put a lot of information in. Simple really sells it. So I used all of one number in my video. Whereas if I'm writing an article, I'm writing a ton, giving out a ton of information.
So you have to put the video up, why, what, where, and then the rewards. You decide $5, $10, $1,000. What is a campaign that you've seen that you're just like, they hit it out of the park? This is a great campaign.
Well, there's lots of campaigns that I would say that is true for different reasons. It really depends on your goal. Probably a good campaign to look at, though, is one of the highest performing campaigns, The Coolest Cooler. And it's not because they did something so drastically different than other campaigns did, but what's fascinating to me about that campaign is they launched and it failed, and then they relaunched. And so you can kind of compare what they did the first time to the second time and see the nuances. And the biggest thing, of course, was building their crowd, building their list, and that made a big difference. But it was a simple product. I mean, it's a cooler. And so they funded $10 million for a cooler.
Like a cooler?
A cooler. It was the coolest cooler, though. So it's good. They had very simple, understandable rewards at various levels that allowed their people to contribute.
And do you also find this isn't something that people necessarily do once? They do it twice or 3 times or until they get it right or until they get some money?
Absolutely. Well, most people, once they fail once, don't ever go back again. And I would say the more preparation you do, the better, because you really do want to succeed the first time. So having the right dollar amount is great. For women especially, as long as they lock in on the right dollar amount, they rarely have the challenge of that failure because they are such good storytellers and because they are organized and they learn to prepare. So the most important thing is get that right dollar amount and then know what your people want and build your rewards around that.
Do you think at the end of the day, women just have to ask for money and feel comfortable with asking for money?
Absolutely. I think, one of the reasons that I wanted to do a crowdfunding campaign was because I thought I could skirt around that. I thought we'd throw up a campaign, it'd go viral, I wouldn't have to do any work, and that was totally the opposite of what happened. I had to show up every single day and ask people for money over the phone maybe 20 times a day. So it's something that seems really terrifying at first, but crowdfunding gives you the experience and the day-to-day to kind of see that grow. And once people start actually contributing to your campaign, it's really exciting, and you want to keep building that momentum and keep going. So it's definitely a little bit awkward at first, but it's something you get used to, and you need to be successful.
So I definitely think that women are more uncomfortable with the ask, and it's something that, practice makes perfect. If you do it, and maybe you start with the small asks, the easier asks in the beginning, it gets easier over time. One thing that I will say is that you do want to make it high stakes, high risk and reward sometimes. So in a sense, the overall campaign is that high stake thing, and you sometimes fail. So Patty mentioned the fact that some people actually go back. If you go back and you've learned from your mistake, you're going to succeed. And the people that do multiple campaigns are far more likely to succeed the next time.
So if you could give one piece of advice to a woman out there who's considering crowdfunding as an option, what would that be?
Get inside your heart and your soul and understand why you do what you do. Because if you can communicate why you do what you do through the video, the what, the when, the where, the numbers become so less important, and you'll start to understand how many people are around you ready to cheer you on and support you.
You got to start. I think when you build that momentum, when you put together a team, everything kind of snowballs. And I remember in the beginning I was thinking, you know, if we weren't going to make the crowdfunding, if it wasn't going to happen, I was going to go to investors, because I felt so dedicated to our mission and our platform that I knew I had to tell these stories, so I was going to make it happen, hell or high water. So I think once you start, you're building that momentum, and it's never going to be perfect. You're never going to get all the cards in the right places, but once you start going, something else happens, and it's magical.
Segment your list. So one thing that we haven't talked about is make your messages appropriate for each group of people. So I had a lot of success by targeting different types of people on my list with different types of messages, and that led to a lot of success for me.
Well, thank you all so very much for being here and sharing your stories of success. And I love the concept of crowdfunding, and I hope other women are open to it, because I think it's an amazing platform for all of us to really achieve some fantastic dreams. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
That wraps up this week's edition of the Working Woman Report. Be sure to check us out on Twitter and Facebook, and in the social media world on our website, workingwomanreport.com.
Any person, male or female, could be a leader. I think anyone is capable. It just so happens that for us it's more complicated. I hope that this is like the generation that changes